Oh, goodness. Oh, did I leave my drink? Left my drink over there. It's okay. I'll survive. I'll just get up in the middle of it and go get it. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Kart 63. I'm wearing my Raiders hat today. I am in Buffalo Bills territory. You would think that'd be part of Bills Mafia. We are not a Bills Mafia household. My wife is a Jets fan, and I am a Raiders fan. And hers is more is easier to explain than mine. Her father was a diehard Jets guy. Hey, was a diehard Jets guy, so she's just following the family tradition of being a Jets fan. And the Raiders, I was originally a Broncos fan because my aunt lives in what's going on? My aunt lives in Denver, and those were the days of Elway and all that. And I was a Broncos fan when I was a kid. We used to play backyard stuff. Yes, it's cold. The sweatshirt. And then I was a skateboarder. I got into skating when I was 10 or so, and then my teens, and I listened to a lot of old school rap. So Ice Cube, Ice-T, NWA, all that stuff, and they all wore Raiders gear and White Sox gear, and I started wearing Raiders stuff, and then I just stuck with them. It's like, all right, I'm a Raiders fan, I guess. Yes. Camping was, I say it was amazing, but it was cold. I actually, because we're only minutes away from my house where we went camping, a place called Holiday Hill. I had picked up some firewood, and I live in town, so there's nowhere around here. I suppose I could get it from the brother-in-law, but there's a place like just like 5 minutes from here that actually have bins, and they got a pretty good deal on firewood, all dried and ready to go. And I already bought some. It was cheap, and we ran through it like the first night or close to it. And I was like, oh man, we're not going to make it through Saturday with this. So I came down. I have a little bit of wood from trees I've cut up out back here, but I went and piled the back of my truck up, and because Saturday was all day long. I mean, the sun was out briefly. It was cold, but we had the fire burning pretty much all day long. It was nice. Uh, yeah, my fingers are a little cold, but I'm a New Yorker. It's just that time of year. Getting ready for Saturday. Nice, very cool. Yeah, I got to run some. Here, turn this up. Sorry. I'd like to run some of that small block open stuff. Like the Big O, and that always. I think it's a nice bridge between. I'm going from one extreme to the other, or not the other. Well, the clone is maybe a Predator would be, or a L206 would be or a Dakar would be the polar opposite of the open, but like a nice bridge in between would be something with a little extra power. New York only need one finger. Yeah, but yeah, that I eventually I think I'd like to do something. I know that Black Hat Speed has a pretty good class going on down in the Virginias, VDKA and all that, to where they're running like a limited mod type, souped up clone type deal. That might be fun. That would have a little. Again, I love it when you have to lift. Don't get me wrong, getting in a clone, and I can't help but hold the pedal down the entire way if I can help it, because I'm used to so much power. But having something even on a big, a grippier track like Virginia has, to where you got to lift and actually drive the thing, I think would be super cool. Yeah, yep. I like it. Uh, I'm so used to UAS that people ask me, how's clone? And I'm like, it's just a different type of racing. Okay, it takes not a different skill set, but definitely something that it's something that I have to learn. Those clone limiteds are, should see where. Yeah, I know. Absolutely. I think that if they're somewhat leading the charge, I don't know. They're not the inventors of it, but Black Hat has has definitely grown that class down there, and it'd be awesome to see it spread. I guess one of the topics I wanted to bring up, I put that poll up about treads, and do you think it's a future? Now, I've asked a couple people up here in New York if they think that treads are the way that New York's going to go, and they don't believe so. So it's, do I believe that? Despite me being a track tat guy and a prep guy, I would absolutely race something that was just treads up here, no prep type of deal. I'm not against it. I'm into all sorts of racing. Maybe make you faster driver in the open. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's and same as the Northern Territories, which is weird because you would think that with our looser style tracks, our tracks that don't get as good, we'll call it, what Southerners can consider good, super high gripped up stuff. You would think that it would be more applicable, that word, up here to where we have tracks that it's hard to get a hold of, but for some reason, like it really, there's a classes, where the ghost classes that they run up here, and they don't even run like a standard kart type of tread. They run the turf treads. I'm not against that either. That looks like a riot, but it looks to me like they're 5-inch rims, or maybe they're 6-inch rims, but they're definitely like lawnmower tires. It's cool, dude. I'm game. What about needling? I guess that was before my time of racing. I have a needler, yeah. I don't know on, it depends on what type of track you're on. Basically, it's a version of sipping, but it depends how you're using it. Now, you can use it as like a sipper, so sipping your tires. I broke my thing, so there's going to be a weird, I can see a shadow. To aerate the tire, so to speak, either heat it up or cool it down quicker, whatever you can consider that to be, punching a bunch of holes in in a tire. I've always used it as you hit it when you first get the tire, when it's the stiffest it's going to be, and I needle it, and that is to drop the durometer even further, because you got to figure every one of those little pinholes is going to take in prep and drive the prep even deeper into the tread. So if you were saying running a Vega Yellow, I would take a brand new Vega Yellow, the wrapper. They don't really come in wrap. Oh yeah, those do. Come in a wrapper, unwrap it, mount it, put it on, and then I would spin it and needle it to get it perforated, and then do your internal, external to drop the durometer type of thing. But I suppose it could be used just as a sipping method, in order to, do whatever to the tread that you want it to do. I don't know that it would net you a whole lot of grip. I would imagine that the holes might plug up with dirt quicker, but I haven't put a ton of thought into that. If you were just to needle them without, any type of prep or anything, that's not at least it's not what I've done to a tread or done to a tire. In that case, I don't know. That's thought provoking. For me, the treads are going to allow me to venture outside further. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's I like to give the treads and tear off guys a whole bunch of crap, because slicks are, depending on track, unless it's a real dirt track, like there's no grip there whatsoever. Treads are faster, and they're like, and you get your I get a lot of, I can't believe you run slicks on dirt. It sounds like treads would be faster, and they're not. They're bigger, heavier. They heat up more. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. I'm not saying a tread can't beat a slick, but if the surface is prepped like normal, I mean, we got some fairly slick tracks up here, and the choice is slicks, slick track slicks. But you would think that with a track that's breaking up, it's getting kind of mealy. that a tread might work well, but I mean, I don't know that there's a rule. St. John's, for instance, AMS, Allegheny Memorial Speedway, that I race at. That is a track, I think, that it kind of, it has grip, but it doesn't have grip, and you can see even with the slicks that they're kind of moving the dirt off. When you're racing, you can see it coming off of rear tires. You would think that a tread would do well there, but I've never seen anybody run them with any type of success. Maybe the UAS a couple times. Maybe the UAS guys have run them there, but you know, it's weird that getting into that discussion with people who don't understand it. You know, they're like, oh, well, the dirt late models and sprints and all that, and they run treads, and that's blah blah blah. And it's just like, I hear what you're saying, but when a vast majority of racers have the choice to run a slick or a tread, they tend to favor slicks as of now. And that was kind of the idea I was going for when I put that poll up. Like, I'm not against either. I'm not against treads at all. I just like to give those guys crap, the treads and tear off guys. The old days, way back in the day, we used to do blah, blah. All right, cool. As soon as my area, a track, whatever goes to that, I got no problem going with treads. I think it'll be just as fun, if not funner, getting those things to roll over, and maybe you could run an outside line. You're not stuck in the same line. That would be kind of cool. But until it goes there, it's everybody's kind of where they're at. 200 win race. How'd you like the track? Nice facility. Do they run weekly? That's the first time I was there. Maybe they run bi-weekly. I think they run bi-weekly, if I'm not mistaken. Dreamfield. I like the track. It was just weird there was a whole host of things. Now, I'll tell you guys, because for fun, Shatter Racing Chassis video, the Shatter Blast is coming Sunday. I recorded the whole thing yesterday. Did not like the way it came out. Inside baseball, I feel as if I could do a better job. So I'm going to re-record it now that I know where I don't want to go and where I need to tighten. And plus, I recorded like 3 segments, and it was going to be like a 30-minute video. And it's just, I don't mind putting out a 30-minute video every now and again, but consecutively, it gets a little old. People's attention span. You could deliberate on what would cause people not to watch a video as much, but the longer videos do suffer for views. So I wanted to get all the information and just tighten it up. And I mentioned that race in there that one of the biggest questions is what I think of the Shatter, and it was new track, a tire I don't normally run, which is a Reaper. I had bought the Reapers the first time doing that. I tried 2 different sets. I didn't like the newer tire. I don't think it was too new for the conditions. I think the prep that I had in it just didn't agree with the surface. That was what I was on in qualifying. It was what I was on in practice, but the track was real green, and everybody was a little off. And then I went with more of the same for qualifying, and that was a bad idea. So I immediately broke out my 2023s, and I had already pre-wiped them the night before to get something into them. So it was just it was difficult for me to be on, a new chassis, new tire, a place I had never been. I did, as far as racing, when it came around to we'll call it a heat race. They called it a B main. They split it in 2, but it was a heat race to get into the feature. Top 12 qualified in, and then you had to race your way in through your B mains and be top 3 to transfer to the A main. And I wheel hopped a dude. I started in 3rd, transfer spot within a lap. I wheel hopped, and I was back to 6th. And I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble. And I tell you what, between me doing the right stuff with the tires this time around and the cart, I just right back up to the front. And I was thoroughly impressed. I mean, all this stuff, I'll probably mention some of it come the video on Sunday. I'll be recording Saturday morning, but yeah, I was between those two things. I was like, I know I didn't make any adjustments to the cart. I had a specific setup on it. I didn't do anything to the cart whatsoever. It was just real comfortable to begin with, a lot freer than what I anticipated it being, especially on a tight track. But just hitting the tires was the biggest swing I had to take, which is, you know, with any chassis. I'm like, man, it gave me a lot of confidence when I was able to run right back up in. And I think that if you'd given me another couple laps, the cart just kept on coming to me. And, you know, I might have been able to challenge for the win in that heat race. But not too shabby, you know, to fall back to 6th and to just be able to drive back up to 2nd. It's like, heck yeah. Oh, my buddy Jamie texting my other buddy Doug in my chat. And Jamie plays a lot of pool, and he just won another 8-ball. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it was the only thing that, like, somebody had commented on a video, and I had put on there when I went into the turn that I was free, that was during qualifying, and they're like, it looked like you put a lot of wheel into it, and it's not an incorrect observation, but what had happened was it was so free in because I made the wrong choice on tires and prop or whatever you want to say, that when it entered the corner, it got so free that I caught the thing. And as soon as I caught the thing, it kind of slammed down the left rear, and then I had to put some wheel into it to continue off the turn. And even coming off the turn, as much wheel as I had into it, it felt like it was going to pace the wall. And I'm like, that's driver error and driver error on choice of tire prep and what tires I was on. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up, and that's part of. Went into this whole description of that happening in what I recorded yesterday, and it just made for too long of a video. I was looking at my, you know, reviewing everything. I was going to edit it, and I was just watching the footage I had shot, and I'm like, man, I got no problem talking, and sometimes it's too much. It's not to the point. I get going off on tangents, very ADD like, and I'm like, man, I gotta tighten that up. I gotta make it more precise and to the point. So hopefully I can trim that down. You know, if it's going to be a longer video, I want to try and shoot for 15 to 20 minutes, as not to bore everybody to snot. Get to the points, get to the information that I would think you would need to know, instead of me just going off in the left field, which is exactly what happened. I was like, oh man. Sometimes I like to think I'm pretty good at my job, that I've given myself doing this, but then sometimes I just say things and I'm like, it's not off color. It's not pertinent to what I'm discussing, but it's also like, they don't need to know that. I didn't need to go and explain, you know, what happened and everything. Everybody gets the case that sometimes you miss on tires, sometimes you miss on setup, sometimes you miss the corner, and that's on me. That was all on me doing that dumb stuff. So I don't blame the chassis for the one time that I felt like it was tight, and that really wasn't tight. I just had to put more wheel into it than I had anticipated doing. You really had to track it through at that. So you drive it in hot, you let it take its set, and it almost goes into a slight four-wheel drift, and then right back to the throttle and get it to rifle off the turn. And if you missed it, I kept on hitting the turtles too. Like it wanted to search the bottom, which is great because I have a tendency to be a bottom feeder. I don't run the high line that often. There was a little more speed, I think, up a groove, maybe half a groove, somewhere in there, and the thing wanted to turn right down to the turtles every time. And I'm like, well, this is, that's a good problem to have when a cart wants to do that. So yeah, that track was fun. I had a lot of fun, with the exception of I discussed it last week there, that I don't know what happened with the motor, why it was breaking up so bad. I can only assume one of two things. Somebody brought up fuel pump, very possible, because I I'd cleaned both carbs on the in the ultrasonic cleaner before this race. So I'm fairly certain it wasn't a dirty carb or anything. Obviously, I have a fuel filter getting in there. So brand new fuel. I just picked it up before that, so it wasn't fuel. I don't think it was carburation. I gotta think that it was a spark plug, or somebody suggested that the fuel pump may have seen better days, which is, it's possible. I changed on one of the clones a fuel pump not too long ago, last year, beginning of the year, something like that. It was leaking out of it. Something must have gone wrong in it. So I might want to consider that. I'll get some fresh fuel pumps before next year. Also, engines are going to go back to the engine builder and just say, hey, you know, check these out. I'll definitely invest in some spark plugs. And I should have known better. I should have probably put a new plug in it, being it's a 2,000 win race. It just didn't even occur to me. But that happens. When I have that problem, oh yeah, yep. What's going on? Hey, Doug. Nothing. It's cooler up here in New York. I wanted to bring up this point too. Like, I can't seem to post anything online without getting told that I'm doing things wrong by somebody. It's and all right, I'll bring this up. The washing the cart video. And a couple people, they had mentioned, you know, and I don't disagree with anybody's cleaning method. I used to wash my cart with the bearings and everything in it. I used to just spray everything out with WD after I was done racing. I have since changed that. I take the rear axle out. I take the front hubs off. I get the, you know, the big bearings off there, so they're not exposed to water. I evaluated it. I'm like, all right, that's probably not a bad idea not to spray those. Okay, cool. And then somebody came in and said, hey, you know, I don't wash my engines. And it, you know, just wipe them down in WD-40 and like a blowgun. All right, cool. Well, the person that came in, I got a thing. I don't like superiority complexes. I don't like the the first thing is that I've been racing 25 years and I've never washed my cart with water. Like, I was doing it wrong. It's just like, you know, my comment back was just, it was respectful. I was just like, oh, that's cool. I've been racing for 23 years and I've always used water to wash my carts. And I've seen a lot of other people use water to wash their carts. I was respectful, but it was just like, you know, kind of throwing back like, hey man, I've been racing almost as long as you. That's cool. And then he gave me some snide comment with a thumbs down. And it's just like, it wasn't that I didn't understand where he came from, but people on the internet, just how I would have worded it, you know, would have been, hey, I noticed you used water to wash carts. Don't you think that might hurt the Heims and stuff? I try not to use water, and I like to wipe things down and use WD-40. And I would have went, that is a great point. Absolutely. It's the firing off with I've been racing for 25 years. I worked with a dude in the bodywork industry that I do. And he constantly, I've been doing this 27 years. And it's just like, buddy, I not being arrogant, but your bodywork is garbage. You know, like, you've been doing it wrong for 27 years. I try not to have an arrogant bone in my body, but boy, that authoritarian type of attitude, like, you got to listen to me because I've been doing it this long. It's like, well, what am I, chopped liver here? I only try and run a cart channel to teach people about this, but I'm sure random person on the internet, your opinion's way better than mine. It's like, there are different types of tracks, there are different types of circumstances, and I had to come back and say, well, I'd like to see you remove mud from the Northeast with WD-40 and a rag. That would be fun, because that thing more so, in my open has been plastered with mud because we've gotten rain showers. They run in the track and then you hit a mud puddle or somebody hits and then you get pasted with it. Good luck. I mean, if you run down south, if you just have dusty, you know, pardon me, type tracks, understandable. It's the unwillingness of people to just be, you know, accept or not accept, but be like, hey man, he's probably in a different circumstance than I am. Maybe he has a different way of doing it. There might be a reason for that. It's like, and it's, I put myself out there. It's asking for trouble, so to speak. I try not to be ever, you know, like disrespectful to anybody, unless of course I get it. It's my platform. It's my personal, you know, Facebook account. That's I'll take a little bit of flack and be like, all right, I can understand where this guy is, but if you fire right off of like, and I was like, ah man, all right, I'm not doing that. Yeah. Machining batch. Sweet. Cool. Those things are cool. If anybody's looking for those starter windows, if you have an external starter, I would look up DZ Machine there. Doug's a good dude. Makes these sweet looking, who else was it? Shoot. I forgot who's carrying them. Somebody just started, one of the kart shops just started carrying them. It's pretty cool. I'll think of it in a minute here. But yeah, they're pretty sweet. I lost one. It's currently at Blairsville Speedway in PA, and they're no longer running. I sideswiped my buddy lapping them, and it it ripped it off. So yeah. Yep, clean filter and new it. Yep, that's it. It's all a learning experience for me. This is stuff that I normally would consider. Then again, my two-stroke doesn't, you know, being it's on methanol, I've never fouled a plug with my on my Bama, so it's just stuff that I gotta, you know, get up there, you know, when, and maybe that's a video idea. That's, you know, when should you be changing a plug, type of thing, you know, how to read a plug type of thing. Definitely, you know, I gotta sketch that down, but it's just a checklist that I should be doing with the clone, but I want to say I got lazy with the clone, but they're engine side of things, it's always ran so good that I haven't paid much attention to it. So, we wash ours with soap and water and then spray it down with Daytona. Nice. Yep. And that's just it. Like, that video was just me washing the cart. Like, when I brought it in, I sprayed the whole thing down with WD-40. Like, you know, any Heims or anything like that, I spray the Heims and I work everything back and forth to get rid of any water or anything like that. I've never had a problem with it, you know, making my Heims go bad or any of that stuff. Obviously spray the spindles, and yeah, I mean, you could completely disassemble a cart, and I know, you know, some of the real big players, some of the super fast guys do that. Tear it right down to frame, clean it. I mean, just their stuff is always choice when they go out to race, and they go through everything. Call it lazy, call it time, whatever. I've never been that way. This is the furthest I've ever really torn down a cart to clean it. So when you're saying I'm doing it wrong, it's like, hey man, you want to see the way I was doing it before? Because that was really wrong. Hey, what's going on? There you go, GT Karts and parts in Ohio. That if you're looking for some DZ machines, like I said, if you got an external starter, KT100, open, you know, open mod, clone, whatever, that takes an external starter. He's got some really sweet, you can kind of see it over there. I'll try and, I don't know if I can zoom in from here. See that starter window right there? Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I had two, and now I have one. Yeah, absolutely. And then got in with I did the titanium clutch thing today, and then I don't want to say it never starts up an argument. I don't allow that stuff on my page, on my posts, or anything like that. If you're too disrespectful to either the company that, you know, I'm showing a product to, or myself, you know, I'll just delete it. Won't say anything about it. Like, it's just how I am. But as long as it's respectful, and the titanium thing, clutches, you know, I got a bunch of questions behind closed doors. Hey, is it worth it? This and that. I will be doing a video pretty soon here on titanium clutches. you know, and thank you to 5.3 Titanium that I have one to show off type of thing and explain my point of view. But the discussion it wasn't disrespectful to one another, but it was definitely, people had, you know, pretty hard line points on it. I'm like, I get where you're coming from. I see. I'm cheap. I am. I'm cheap for a reason. If I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't be cheap, and I'd have all brand new stuff all the time. But I am cheap, and I try and get everything I can out of things. So I completely understand the, hey, you know, it's not worth, you know, almost double the price. I totally get it. But, and a titanium clutch isn't going to put you from 10th place up into the lead. It's just, it's a little adjustment. Now, there's a point to be made about what they're saying about distance between rebuilds and how much you're spending on a rebuild. Now, if you buy a titanium clutch and you say get an entire year out of the thing and you didn't have to rebuild it throughout the year, you know, you're not saving money, but you are saving money. So you spend, you know, a lot up front, and then if you get more time out of it, cool. Now, my point was on that post when they're, you know, going back and forth about it, was that yes, but say you got equal driver, you got equal tires, chassis, whatever, everything's equal, and you're looking for a little advantage. If you're looking for your, you know, to reduce your rotational weight so your cart takes off better, say off a restart or something like that, or maybe it gets off the turn a little better because of the rotational weight, because of the titanium clutch, that might be the difference maker for that. If you're running, you know, top 3 and you just need that little bit of edge, it might be enough to get you that. And there, JP Curry made a point. He's like, hey man, you know, nobody needs an MPI wheel. Nobody needs, you know, the this, the that. Sometimes people just like to have nice things. That's a valid point too. Maybe you like to have a nice shiny titanium clutch. Yep, that's a thing. Like if you know, we're talking about kart racing. We're talking about something that isn't, I mean, philosophy, whatever. Do we need to race? No. Do we love to race? Yes. And if you are passionate about anything that you do, you can spend money on it. I came, like I said, a lot, I came from the beer world, and there were people mad at each other over beard oil and beard products, and huge collections of all these, you know, different blends and different companies and this and that. If there's anything that you want to be in, you can be passionate about it. And maybe you're passionate enough that you want to buy yourself a titanium clutch. Maybe you think that's the edge that you need. Who am I to tell you no? If you know, it's just like we don't have a salary cap, so to speak, on how much money you can spend on things. And do I think that a titanium clutch is going to be the end-all be-all? No. Is it super nice and maybe it adds a little to your program? Yep, that's possible too. So just, you know, people get on the internet and love to argue about stuff. And I try and be as, you know, accommodating to everybody's opinion and see, and like you said, see where they're coming from, why they feel this way. Okay, what do we got here? I'm running Predator backstock every Sunday. The axle bearings come out and cleaned, oiled, and reinstalled. Same as spindle bearings, skin paints, never sees. Nice. That. So when I was I did the video of breaking down the cart. A lot of people brought up the fact that, son, you need some never squeeze, and I was like, yeah. It's been on my to-do list, and every time I think about buying some, it's after the fact, after I'm not at the store, or, you know, Walmart, or, you know, Napa, anything like that. I should have some never sees here, especially for the rear clams, the clamshells there. It's when I had to break them free, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna catch a whole bunch of flack for that. But yeah, oiling and doing all that, excellent choice. Breaking down, you know, it's a pain in the butt to wash your cart every single week, but it is so good for noticing things. You get the crap off there, and then you can see something's bent, something's out of line, something, you know, something's come loose or anything like that. That probably should be a video too, that maintenance. not specifically what to maintenance, but maintenance in general. Like, don't just pull your cart in and then expect that it's going to run exactly the same next week. It is it's a passion of ours to do what we do, and if you're paying attention, it just improves your situation. That less things are going to fail in the end. We have titanium clutch, lugs, and studs. Little things add up. They do. They do. Absolutely. And plus, they're cool. They look really nice. I mean, there's the performance aspect of it, and then there's the not having a beat up pile of crap. Now, I've been beat by beat up piles of crap. Absolutely. When people just know what they're doing with tires, it's possible. But also that it was one of my big coming from UAS as well. Some people tighten your stuff up. They got wires and just loosely hanging stuff, and it's just like, man, loom is not that expensive. Go over to Harbor Freight, put your wires in loom, just zip ties, just tighten things up so it's not flopping around in the breeze. The same can be said, even though there's less on a clone cart or Predator for that matter to do that. But if you tighten your ship up, it's easier to maintain it down the line. It's easier to diagnose a problem. What wire went wrong? How this get caught in there? If you're very, very directed in the way you take care of your stuff, it will only add to your program. And titanium stuff it makes it look nice. It tightens things up. Just an opinion on it. We're racers in win order if we want them right and cheap as possible. Yep, that's right. Yep, absolutely. Yep, I've created things for no other reason than I got picked on for my catch can, and it's an overflow jug from a two-stroke. It was just like some tracks require a catch can off a clone, and I got no, comes off the breather and off the head there. And I got no problem running one. I didn't have one. And some people run like a Mountain Dew bottle or whatever. And I was just like, hey, what's this? I picked it up. I was like, oh, that's an overflow jug for a two-stroke radiator. And I was like, you know what? That's a catch can. So I put it on there, and then I caught some flack for, I bet you that's worth 2 cents. I was like, yeah, man, hey, would it have been better if it was a Mountain Dew bottle? Come on. Too expensive. Yeah, I get it. For you. Hey, Ben, I got a question for you. 63. So I've explained it before, but I got no problem talking about it. My dad was a motorcycle racer, motocross, when I was growing up. He started in the early 70s, almost before they put suspension on, dirt bikes type of thing. And then I spent a lot of years, my boss, matter of fact, raced with my dad. He remembers me from when I was still pooping my pants, running around at the motocross track, because my boss, his family used to own a motocross track near to here. And my dad's number was 63. I asked him where he got it, and he's like, I just picked a number. We have a Route 63 that runs through town. I'm assuming just whether or not it was his choice or not. When I was naming the channel, I was like, I don't want to do Kart 63, just 63, because it was just like, it didn't have any pizzazz to it. So we used to shop at a store. My wife is a new age hippie, we'll call her that. She likes, Janis Joplin, and she likes tie-dyes and stuff like that. Well, there used to be a store up in the mall called the 6Ts, 6T. I always thought that was kind of cool. It's just like, all right, well, my last name's Taft. So 6T3 is 6 Taft 3. If you say it fast, 63. It's 63. You can pronounce the T if you want, but it's 63. And that's, I can actually show you real quick. I believe the guys, oh, let me flip this around. You don't need to look at me too close here. Holy smokes. That went sideways. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, yep. There's a T right there. Sorry, guys. I gotta quit being lazy and just get up. Why is it zoomed in? That's my problem. I got it. Everybody calm down. I figured it out. So I can, when I'm at the track, I can be 63, which was my number forever, or the channel. There's a T right there. So Kart 63. Say it fast, 63. Somewhere around here in my dad's helmet. Maybe I put it away. But he, yeah, I think I put it away. My dad's number was 63 in the motocross. I used to have his JT motocross helmet around here somewhere. I honestly don't know where I put it. Somewhere. But yeah, so that's Taft is my last name, 6T3. Too expensive, yeah. Absolutely. When I did the video of the weight thing, it was merely to show the weight of the titanium clutch versus the bully. I still, obviously, I have a bully, and I was running a bully before I got this clutch, and it will be my backup clutch. God forbid anything happens to the titanium one. I don't think there will be, but it's always good to have another, or I could put it on the other engine, so when I swap them over, I don't have to change clutches or something like that. But Kermit is a phenomenal dude. Obviously, I run a Bama 250, which is Buller built. I've run Buller clutches a lot. There's zero wrong with the bully clutch. I was just showing that, and that was just it. It wasn't meant as a slight, and that's why I didn't tag Buller in that, because it wasn't meant to be that way. It was just showing 5.3 titanium has this clutch. This is the weight difference between the two if you're interested. But yes, they are expensive. There's no doubt. Whether or not it is worth it to some people, you know, whether you want it for performance, whether you want it because it possibly will have to be rebuilt less, whether you just want it because they're sweet, they look great. Okay, you know, to each their own. But yeah, I get the expensive thing. You know, I run Gator 4-disc clutch on my Bama, not because the Bully Turbo is a bad clutch, but because the Gators are cheaper. That's it. The performance of the Gator is pretty darn good. Got those from Locatus. They work well, and they're, you know, they especially, I think Walt was, he had dealer pricing through Locatus, and just you know, a lot cheaper to get those aside from the Buller Turbo. Nothing wrong with the Buller Turbo at all. I've run them before. I've run, yeah, I ran those when we initially got it. Everything, they work great, but you know, cost-wise, we started expanding the fleet of opens in this barn. It was going to be super expensive. You know, I think a Buller Turbo 4-disc somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 to $600. So I think Walt was getting those things for like $300 or something like that, dealer pricing, whatever it was. And it was just like we could have so many more Gators than we could of the bullies that we just went to that. So, but nothing, absolutely nothing against a Buller. A ton of people run them. A ton of, you know, top teams run them. They're super fast. They obviously, you know, probably, arguably the #1 clutch sold for kart racing for a reason. They work well. They're really good. I'm bored trying to make things last as long as I can. I'll never. Yeah, now you see how any means to save $1. Absolutely, I don't disagree with that. What's going on, Bill? Sorry, I get yammering and then I forget to check the chat. Just staring at myself talking, you know. Been better. Yes, it would have been better to do battle. Push like camp here. If it's the money. Oh yeah. That's. I'd have a lot of cool stuff if I had a ton of money. I'm not really materialistic, but also when I'm into something like kart racing, you know, it was my wife she watches a lot of those programs with tiny houses, and we have way too much stuff to to fit into a tiny house, but she's she loves it. I think that's why she loves the RV so much. Not only the experience of RVing, but that it's basically a tow around tiny house. But she's just like, yeah, maybe someday we'll live in a tiny house and this and that. I'm like, I don't, as long as I have a place to shower, eat, sleep, and cool. She's just like, well, what about you? I'm like, I don't know, like a 4-car garage. And she's just like, a 4-car garage. I said, not for cars, just for kart stuff. And a studio and this and that. Like, I don't think I'm materialistic unless it's like racing. Like, and maybe, well, I'd have to have one of the bays could be like full of pew-pews. I don't know if you can say the G word on here without getting flagged. I probably have a dedicated area to that. That'd be pretty cool too. Hey, I sure appreciate that you explained. That's awesome. Thank you very much for being here. I try and do it, give thanks on the videos as much as I can because I truly am appreciative. I'm appreciative of everybody that comes here every week to hang out with me, to ask questions, to BS, to whatever it is. The people that come out, it's without the viewers. I'm talking to myself. I mean, I'm talking to myself now, but you know where I'm getting at. Like if I can help anybody, that is the purpose. Like sometimes my DMs are a bit much, and trying to explain stuff to people that they don't understand it, and I don't fault them for it. And I put myself out there to be that guy, and I don't ever claim to be a know-it-all about everything, but I have experienced a lot over 23 years of racing, doing karts. So I really want to help. I want to help, not only the new racer, the UAS person. I want to help companies that are, do the videos like the helmet video I just did, eventually, showing off the titanium clutch, stuff like that. I try and be as unbiased as possible to help everybody. It's no good to me if the industry suffers, because then karting goes away, and I don't ever want to see karting go away. So helping brings people in. It's a community. It's a family sport. It's everything that I love about racing, and I try and do my part. Whether I didn't realize it was going to get to this point to where I was doing live streams and we'll say friends, but perfect strangers on the internet. I didn't know that it was ever going to get to this point, but I'm beyond appreciative of all the support and people watching. It really, it's as funny as it is, and as everybody, if you hit a like and follow, it does help, and it keeps going when I don't hyper focus on the numbers. It's nice to see those numbers, great, cool, but it shows that people are still interested, and it keeps me going to want to continue to help. So yeah, I thank you very much for watching, and I hope I can help. That's my DMs are always open. I'm on the Facebooks. You have my emails, kart63@gmail.com. Real easy to get a hold of me. If you have any questions, and if I don't have an answer, I try and find an answer. I try and point you in the right direction. I don't want to see anybody fail. I don't want to see anybody ever get frustrated and be like, hey man, these are growing pains. It's going to take a while. Some people just assume because they're fast that, hey, do it this way. It's just like, yeah, but how did you get to that point? What did you have to learn to get to that point? And I think it'd be selfish of, myself or anybody else to, harbor all that information. It's okay to keep a couple speed secrets to yourself, not telling exactly what you have in your tires or what setups you have. Okay, cool. But to get people, to harbor all the information and not get people to continue to grow the sport, to support the sport, and not see it decline too much before, it just goes away. Tracks close, and it's a terrible thing. I don't ever want to see that. You're super helpful. I truly thank you very much. I do really appreciate it. Is your season ended, or how many more do you have? I'm done. I had an offer, and I can't. I got a message a guy. He was going to assist with me going racing Sunday, and I super appreciate it. But I gotta get the Shatter video done. I have family stuff. We're going to a spooky thing tomorrow. We're going to a local place, Genesee Country Museum is what it's called, and they do this haunted tale. It's a whole bunch of old buildings from the area that have been brought in, and they talk about old spooky tales and this and that, and take it in the dark and the lantern, and there's actors and stuff like that. It's really cool. I'm doing that tomorrow with the wife, and then I got to do the video Saturday. I got to have time to edit that, and it was going to be, could I have forced it and gone racing Sunday? Probably. Weed Sport, it's Oktoberfest, but I'd be spending money I don't have, and I already, as is, I got to pay back the credit card for what I did to this thing. So, yeah, it was going to put me in a real tight position, and I didn't want to do that. So, yeah. So yeah, I'm unless something comes up, which I got so much to do. I got to get the winterize the RV. At least I got the pool done a while ago, so that's done. There's just so I wish I had more time. That's nobody explains to you when you're young. You got doing all the dumb stuff that you do, or that you seem like your life is infinite. When you get older, time seems to be a thing. Get out of work, work out, do all the stuff, and then do all this, and it's just like, man, next thing you know, I did take the time. I did spend money, and I bought Battlefield 6. So my buddy Doug and I are playing Battlefield 6 now. It's intense. It definitely I used to play it before, older version 4, I think, and then Battlefield 1. Anyway, it's been years since I played it, and I forgot how intense and how big the boards were. That's, it's just a way to kind of nightcap, shut the brain off, just, first-person shooter type stuff. Really fun. We're trying a new class at my home track this year. Nice! Very cool, Doug. I appreciate that. Yeah, likes do help. Asphalt sprint carts, go blue and sealed tools. Awesome. Asphalt was that was fun. I did asphalt. I've done with asphalt once. I now can say I've raced an asphalt oval. I still have the tires. I haven't cleaned them yet. They're sitting right over there because they're bag of yellows and they're stuck. A whole bunch of stuff stuck on them. I also figured I could do a short with me trying to clean that crap off. I thought that'd be kind of fun to see. I don't have a scraper, so I'm gonna have to. Well, maybe I'll invest in a scraper if I choose to run that again. It was a lot of fun. It was 206 would be a lot easier to get around there than on an open. An open was it was pretty intense. We're trying to get the asphalt guys. Yes, yeah, I know. I will say that running asphalt was what was nice, even though the tires are a nightmare. I didn't have to wash everything. That was fun. That was fun to me. Like, I brought it home and I pushed the open in the garage and I was looking at it. I was like, I don't have to clean this thing. This is great. You've been around for a long. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's somebody had said that anytime it was a while ago, but somebody had said, when you go to YouTube and you type in, go-kart or dirt cart or something like that, like it's just a series of my videos, and I'm like, woo! And sometimes, just for maybe it's might feed my ego that I try not to have. Sometimes I Google things like if I Google track tack, if I Google titanium, and obviously the website or whatever pops up there, but you'd scroll down if there's images or websites or links to videos, YouTube videos. There's a whole bunch of my face on the internet, and I'm like, it's just weird. It's like, again, super appreciative, and I put myself out there, so I'm hey, you did it to yourself kind of deal. But also, it's super weird when you search for something, and next thing you know, you see your own face looking back at you. I'm like, ooh. What's funny is the old videos when I had the big beard. Oh boy, every time my wife, you know, because she liked the Bushman Ben when I had the bigger beard initially, and then we go back and I'll show her photos or show her, you know, this is the thumbnail for a video that was 3 years ago, and she's like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that's when you sometimes when you do No Shave November, which was 2018 and 19, 18 or 19, that I started growing the beard." You know, I fell into the beard world and everything, and I want to see how big and, you know, how long I could get my beard. So I did that for a while. And while you're in it, it looks fine. You think it looks fine. And then when you finally decide on your style, you know, which is kind of medium-ish beard, you go back and look at that and you're like, oh. What is the deal? Lottie Psychoball and Lottie Count. I've heard of Psychoball. Or maybe it's a different one. No. I think I've heard of that place before. 209 Speedway card. Nice. So what is it? Absolute best tire to be running? Maxxis, White Vegas, Hoosier. It depends on surface. If you're talking about now it's track specific, because there are tracks not only that they're Burris tires tracks, but there are tracks. A track that I ran for many years, if you ever seen the videos of the big quarter mile that I used to run, that's where I learned my craft, was on a big quarter mile. It was a Burris only track at one point in time when I first came into the sport. And then as they went away from it, they went to open tire. Obviously, I went to UAS, which is open tire. If you were on anything but Burris 33s, you were in trouble. Burris 33s, because of the surface, because of the way, you know, whatever, the big cars, the micro sprints that ran on it, if you ran anything other than Burris 33s, you were going to be in trouble. I won't say lap traffic, but you were going to be hemorrhaging speed. There are places down south that the tracks, for whatever makeup, whatever type of consistency the dirt is, red clay, whatever it is, there are some tracks down south that, whether they were a Burris track or not, they're the fastest tire on that track. Dumpling Valley, which is no longer a track anymore, that was in Tennessee. I was half a second faster at that track on Burris 33s than I was Vega Yellows. Now, on the soft tracks up here, arguably, Burris 33 works pretty good, but a Vega Yellow works really good, and now the Maxxis White seems to be a competitor to the Vega Yellow. Down south, I think it's hard to argue when you get on the single groove and a half type of tracks. Arguably, the fastest tire down south is going to be pinks and blues. When they're hot and fast, that is a tire choice. I've won on Hoosiers before. It's been a long time since I was on them. I think I was on Hoosier FKs, which I don't think they make anymore. I won on a set of those tires up here in the north. Track was those kind of, they sat side by side with the Burris 33. They were constructed more like a Maxxis, but they were, the Hoosier compound was more Burris-ish. So they worked really well up here. So I had a guy who was hot on my tail at that race that I won on the Hoosiers, and he was on Vega Yellows, and I was still able to hold him off and beat him. It really is track specific. There are some tracks down in Florida, though. You get on that sandy stuff, Vega Yellow is the tire of choice. So it's area dependent. It is track dependent. And you know, you just have to, if it's an open tire type of track that you're going to, if they don't have a rule on what tire you have to run, you know, we could debate that or not, you know, whether that's a good thing, but you just have to kind of look around and see what most people are running and then go with that, because usually if it's an open tire, a racer will figure out what tire is fastest, and then everybody kind of follows suit, and then everybody ends up on, you know, pretty close to the same tire anyway. So, you know, I hate to put such a vague, the vagary, I don't know if that's a word, statement on that, but it really is. It depends on part of the country. It depends on what surface it is. All tires are good. It just depends. And I don't want to exclude Reaper either. Despite all the shade they get, some of it, some of it because of past comments, some of it because they're locking up tracks. You know, and you could, I don't know. I guess I'm not going to get into that. It's not a bad tire. I thought they hooked up just fine on that Dream at the Dream. Do I think that a Vaga Yellow would be faster on that track? Yep, I do. But everybody was on the same type of tire, so, you know, we were all, who could figure them out the best? So, yeah. We're trying to get the road course, guys. Yeah, that's, I got a road course that's like 20 minutes from me, and I've never tried it. The only thing I've done road course wise is indoor. You know, I put up some footage of that running the electric carts indoors, which is fun. And I was competitive with everybody that wasn't a regular there. The regulars got that place wired, and they were like 3 seconds a lap faster than me. And that just blew my mind. I'm like, I don't know how else to drive this track. Like, I don't get it. I couldn't. There's something, the way they're braking, the way they're setting up corners, they just figured out. The regulars really had it dialed in. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I'll race anything. It's cool. It's actually primarily a motorcycle track, and we worked the dealer on there when they're nice. Very cool. You think opens are better with grooved slicks? It depends on track. Everything around here, slicks. Slicks are it should lend itself better to the opens than it does, you know, because you have less horsepower in the clones, in the Dakars, in the less horsepower engines. It will lend itself better to an open, but that you have to think of the concept of contact patch. A slick, unless there is a ton of crap on the surface, unless there's water on the surface, a slick is 100% contacted with the surface. When you get into treads, even though there's edges and stuff, which edges help wick away junk, when there isn't stuff to wick away, that 100% saturation of the tire on the track just makes better grip. I know it's hard. It's a hard concept, and I talked about the people that come into my videos, and they're, or whatever I do, and they're like, oh, the sprints and the dirt late models and this and that, they run treads. It's not, you see it, I think I brought this point up before, but NASCAR Chicago, when they're on rain tires. And as the track dried, you could, NASCAR said, okay, go ahead. If you want to put slicks on, you can. And the people who put slicks on, as soon as the track was dry enough, the slicks were seconds faster than the rain tires were. I mean, I know it's asphalt, but it's, grip level, it's comparable. Like they wear out quicker. They may have initially, for some better grip outside of where the groove is, but when you're in the groove, that 100% contact patch is just faster. It's when at the local track I talk about there, I showed up one time, and a local guy was rest in peace, Randy. I showed up, and he was just like, "Oh, slicks," and I was like, "I don't even own treads." He was just like, "Oh, it's not time for those yet." I'm like, "Okay," and then I half tracked him. I mean, I just took off. What he thought was fast compared to the other guys, and shade here, because but it was just an experience I had. I was on slicks, that contact patch made grip, and I took off. What's up, Ben? How's it going? Oh, what's going on, man? Just chilling, hanging out with my peeps. Oh, it is over an hour. Got a couple more minutes here. So I got home did working out, came home, got a pizza, ate the pizza, because I work out, I can eat garbage. But then wife's just like, there's a local ice cream joint, the soft serve and all that stuff, and they are closing on Saturday is the last day. We're busy doing stuff. She was just like, hey, we go get ice cream. And I'm like, oh no, don't twist my arm. So we went down. It's cold in New York, but we went down and had ice cream for, for at least the ice cream island, the soft serve one more time before the season's up. And then it'll be a whole, winter off that my wife will be like, when's Ice Cream Island open up? Happens every year. Also, seasonal depression is a real thing up here in New York. When it starts snowing, you can't, we're just not snow people. I don't do snowmobiles. I don't ski. I try and avoid snow as much as possible. We get pretty hunkered down up here, a lot of us. And when you can't do stuff, it just, I usually make it through about half to 3/4 of the winter, and I'm just like, I am over it. I'm really over this. When we're here in the 70s down here in Wisconsin, and then that's it. Yep. That's I could race. I think AMS is open. Like I said, Weedsport, their Oktoberfest, so they're running Saturday and Sunday. I could race. Financially, horrible decision, and I have to report to the boss, which you would think I'm the boss. I'm the man in the family, but I also do not handle the finances because I am irresponsible when it comes to that stuff. Mama would have me by the gonads if if I went and spent a whole bunch of money right at the end of the season. Occasionally they have like a drag. There's a skiing resort. It's called Swain. That is pretty close to me. And obviously skiing, they got a half pipe for the snowboarders and all that stuff, and chair lifts and blah, blah, blah. But they have a hill, and they do snowmobile drags up the hill. I've never been because I don't like being cold. But my boss is a huge snowcat head. He big Polaris guy. And at least once a year, he goes up to a place called Tug Hill a little bit. He goes here or there. They might run around. There's some places up that Swain area. They run up. There's a place called Sierra that a classmate of mine owns. They run up there, have dinner or whatever, have a beer or something, and ride back. And that's all you kind of do around here, with the exception of the drags. And then if you go a little bit here or there, you can go to find some snowcross. But he's real big on to Canada. They go on, basically boys' trips. They take them up into Canada, and then they get out on the frozen lakes. And he's just like, I had that thing up to 109. I'm like, you. As a matter of fact, he's eyeballing. Is it Polaris? Is it a 900 this year? I think he said it was a 900. He's just like, yeah, I got like 4 sleds though, and I'm like, he keeps on. He offers. He's just like, I got spare sleds. You want to go? I'm like, nope, not interested in being cold. Oh, you won't be cold. I'm like, it's snow, right? That's cold, especially Canada. Ooh. One more weekend, and that's the weekend coming. Yep. That's it's getting to the end of the season. It's a bummer that I have to stop racing, but I'm so used to the way things are done up here that you just get used to it. Like, hey man, now we're shutting down. Now we at this break. We do have some indoor racing. I think is it this year? They might try and run the Syracuse indoor. So it's the first week in December. I won't race. I did it years ago. Could I race? Sure. Pile a whole bunch of left side weight on this thing and go and do it. Okay. But I don't have interest. I like to go watch. I like to go run into people. Obviously film some stuff type of thing to give you guys some more content. But I get up in the morning, I buzz up there. It's a 2-hour drive to Syracuse, and then, go hang out with people, eat some, track food that they got in there, buy a t-shirt maybe, hang out with people. It just, that's a good time to me. I don't have the desire to, strap my helmet to my shoulder and rip around on Coke syrup. I love to race, but it's just, I'm more of a dirt guy. I can see how people love it. I did it a couple times. I did it in KT100 and I did fairly well. I think I ended up second. Got passed on the last lap. That was years ago when I was real young, like 20, probably 27, 28, real young. But that's, I didn't start till I was 25. And then I did it once or twice in my open, my little 125cc two-stroke, and that hurt. That hurt bad. And I decided then that it would take a special circumstance for me to be like, oh, let's do that again. I've had offers, people are like, oh, I got tires, I could do this or that, we can help you out, come and do it. Not even the cost, the entry and stuff. Not saying that, but they could help me with the racing aspect of it. And I just don't have interest in it. It'd be fun, but I don't know. I'm not claiming that I'm old, but this gray hair tells me that unless you know what you're doing, don't hurt yourself. That's I still got to get up and go to work on Monday. Holy buckets! I started racing with 50, and now I'm going to 60. Nice. And it's my wife has brought that up to me. She said that, she's like, "How long are you gonna race?" I'm like, "Till I can't." I know that a lot of people start when they're super young, and some of the best drivers out there that do dirt racing, karts, they started super young. They've learned their craft, this and that. I didn't start racing until I was 25 years old, and that's old. And then why not? Who put the rules in that a man couldn't start now? Couldn't start at your age? Why not? Is it fun? Do you want to do it? Then do it. Like, you're not hurting anybody. You're just going out and experiencing adrenaline, which is arguably, in my opinion, the best drug on earth. I'm sure that some people with issues with substances would disagree, but for us people that know the thrill of passing somebody on the last lap for the W, we know that adrenaline's it. That's where it's at. And there's no cap on that, being a racer, that in age, you can put to that. So I started racing dirt when I was 57 also, and I'll be 61. Nice. See? It's for everybody. I don't, oh, those little go-karts, why don't you get into a big car? Why? Racing's racing, man. Racing is racing. Do you want to spend more money? Okay. I mean, you could probably run some other forms of racing cheaper than you can karts. I don't disagree, but that's a number. That's, do what you want to do. Letting other people influence you and what you can and can't do. Let's, maybe I'll be an 80-year. I got beat by a 70-year-old on an open kart. The guy had been running the track forever. I got blown by, and he made the main and I didn't. And I was probably in my 30s, and that was it was a great experience. Not at the time, I didn't like getting beat, but he got the transfer spot and I didn't. But he had been racing at that track, that specific track, for like 30 years, and you got to respect that. Hey man, I may have lost to a 70-year-old, but I'm glad he's doing it. I'm glad he's still that fast. I'm glad he still has the passion to get out there and do it. So that's cool. It's probably about, yeah, absolutely. That's maybe the little, if you're not driving, if you're on RCs and stuff. But then again, I watch, not watch, but Chris Harris, Track Hack, they got a whole line for the little RC cars. And don't tell me you can't spend a pretty penny on those things. People sometimes get all torn up about, just like, oh, karting's so expensive. It's just like, whatever you want to be into can be expensive if you want it to be. That, I don't hold any ill will to people that want to go do what they want to do. What are racers to say? Nice. Anybody who watched the 10,000 to win race down in Ohio, I think Double Deuce Media was live streaming it, but a gentleman was thrown out of his cart, 65 years old, got up, good to go. He's like, got to go figure this thing out, see if it's there's any issues here. He had another class to run. He's just like, I'll be back out here. It was scary, a red flag, this and that. Oh my goodness, can't believe, people said he was like 7 feet in the air when he got tossed out of his cart. he shook it off and was like, let's go race, man. And you got to love it. So far, so good. I really like the Shatter. It turned. And that, I know that's it's a weird thing to say. We're on oval karts. But there are degrees to turn that that it turned almost a little better than what I was expecting it to turn. And I was like, whoa, okay, well, there's that. Now I got to dial some grip into this thing, which was, just working tires. It did everything I needed it to do. So yeah, so far, like the design, I think they're onto something. I think it's a great design. I think it's going to be fast. I put a little different setup than you're probably going to run down south on one of these things. Less cross, less left, things like that. And it accepted it. It liked it, and I was like, cool. That's all I can ask for that thing to do. I mean, what kind of racing you do? You always end up spending more than yeah, exactly. But all right, guys. Oh, there's Simon. He retracted his message. Hi, Simon. If you're watching me, Simon. I was kind of BSing with Simon and Evan C. At the drivers' meeting at the Grand Nationals. I was noticing their shoes, and Evan was rocking some Crocs, and Simon was rocking some Hey Dudes, which I'm all about. I got Crocs, don't get me wrong, but I have fallen in love with the Hey Dudes. That is, they're just hitting right. I got Hey Dudes, I know. Red. Oh, go figure. Everything I have. It's funny that my motif here on the cart, the chassis is red and all that stuff. My high school colors are, yeah, black, white, and red. The Mustangs, Dansville Mustangs. So they're like, oh, you're awfully homey about that. And I'm like, yeah. I was saying that the wreck. Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I was like, holy crap! And then they interviewed him afterwards. That was fantastic. He was just like, hey man, I got a KT race to run here. It's like, good for you, dude. Well, Ben, if you got to go, I'll probably talk to you later. I'll catch you in your next video. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I should probably get off here. It's been 77 minutes, and you guys know me. I can just keep on chatting about stuff. So eventually, my wife's going to be like, "You coming in?" It happens, but I appreciate you all coming by. I can't thank you enough for the support, coming by, hanging out with me, watching videos, all that stuff. So thank you very much. We'll catch you. The video Sunday is going to be on the Shatter Kart, and then we'll be back here on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Kart 623. Yeah, do my radio voice there. Anyway, catch you guys later. Bye.